Porter-Williams.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, I'm pleased to rise and take a call on the second reading of the Royal New Zealand Foundation of the Blind Act Repeal Bill. And as the previous speaker has noted, it does two main functions. Mr Speaker, I do want to commend the Blind Foundation, as they are now known, for their advocacy and support and the work that they do for New Zealanders who have low vision and impaired by blindness. The bill, Mr Speaker, does two main things. The first thing it does is that it repeals the Royal New Zealand Foundation of the Blind Act 2002. This Act on the Statutes is no longer consistent with the way the modern blind foundation needs to provide services to people with vision impairment. And the Blind Foundation has set up as an incorporated society because it has wanted to really become an organisation that is far more membership-based and accountable to its members. And it's an important aspect of ensuring that they can continue to do the work for their members, Mr Speaker. So why become an incorporated society? The Blind Foundation has made it really clear that in the passage of the last 126 years, they have ensured that they have taken advantage of new ways of doing things, new ways of providing services. As technology has come along, they've needed to keep up with the pace of those changes to ensure that they're delivering the best types of services to their members. And their membership is very important, and they take the role of accountability to their membership very seriously. And they ensure that their governance group who support the work of the Blind Foundation are made up of people who have vision impairment, who are blind or who have low vision. So they're very much accountable to the members and the people who require their services. And what are some of their services, Mr Speaker? The Blind Foundation does a whole range of things. Starting from adaptive communications, recreation and peer support, to things such as helping people with low vision be able to orient and get on with their just normal types of work through the use of guide dogs, special equipment, being able to access information through their library, through advice services. But they also provide some really specialist services to children and young people, to the deaf-blind community, to Māori and Pacific. The other part of this bill, Mr Speaker, looks at the aspect of making amendments to, in respect to copyright, to Section 69 of the Copyright Act 1994, which provides persons who have a print disability with copies that are in Braille or otherwise modified for their special needs without infringing copyright for those literary or dramatic works. And in that regard, Mr Speaker, I want to talk about the Marrakesh Treaty. The Marrakesh Treaty is a treaty that has been signed by 16 other countries, and it has two main obligations. The first obligation is to provide a limitation or an exception to copyright, so that of the several million books that are provided and published worldwide each year, there are only between 1% and 7% which are available to people who have low vision or who are blind. So the Marrakesh Treaty seeks to remedy that by allowing an exception to copyright so that those publications can then be turned into Braille so that they can be accessed by people who are blind. The second part of the Marrakesh Treaty allows the exchange across borders. And why this is important is that New Zealand has yet to ratify the treaty. It is something that the Blind Foundation has advocated for some time. I understand that the government is considering that signing the treaty, but once 20 countries have signed, the treaty will be enacted and will come into force. We are currently at 16 countries, Mr. Speaker. So I am encouraging the New Zealand Government to not only sign that treaty, but to also encourage those other countries who have yet to ratify it to sign. The other aspect of this issue that I want to talk about is the Blind Foundation's work on ensuring that we have access to audio description for people who have got vision impairment. Now, audio description, much like captioning for the deaf community, allows our blind community to be able to have the ability to have programs on the television described to them so that they can fully enjoy things such as the Olympics, which are coming up in about 30 days, Mr. Speaker, and also test match rugby. Currently in New Zealand, we provide audio description on TV1 and TV2 only, and the Blind Foundation have been very, very influential in supporting that to happen, and they would be encouraging broadcasters to look further to ensuring that they could get access to programs on the Olympics and rugby, to name just a couple. Mr. Speaker, this is a bill that is useful in ensuring that the Blind Foundation can continue to adapt and evolve and change for the people that they support, and I commend it to the House.
Mr. Speaker.
Simon